أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. All praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we seek His aid, we ask His forgiveness, we repent to Him and we rely on Him. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of our souls and our deeds. Whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided, no one can misguide, and whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not guided, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his final messenger. يقول الله تعالى في محكم التنزيل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. So always, brothers and sisters in faith, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to be here on this blessed day of Jum'ah. We thank Him subhanahu wa ta'ala for again granting us the opportunity to turn to Him, inshaAllah, in sincere repentance on this blessed day. Thank Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, for He is the one that is truly deserving of thanks, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters in faith, today I'm going to have a brief conversation with you regarding trusting in Allah. Sometimes we forget. Sometimes we become overwhelmed and we trust in everyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The verse that I shared with you is the second verse in Surah Al-Anfal, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, that true believers are those whose hearts tremble with awe when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned, whose faith increases when His revelations are recited to them, who put their trust in their Lord, who keep up their prayer and give to others out of what we provide for them. Those are the ones who truly believe. They have high standing with their Lord, forgiveness and generous provision. And again, these are verses 2, 3, and 4 from Surah 8, which is Surah Al-Anfal. And over the past month or so, we've been focusing on spiritual health. Our spiritual health is extremely important, and today, inshallah, we're going to have a brief conversation surrounding what we need to do in order to put ourselves in a better position to deal with life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this prescription in Surah Al-Anfal. This is a prescription. He tells you, lists these certain characteristics that believers possess. He refers to them. He says in verse 4, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. These people who possess these qualities are the true believers. So what are these qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referenced in verses 2 and 3? First, he started out by saying that believers are those who, when they hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name mentioned, his name or one of his attributes, that their hearts tremble, that they are affected. In essence, when you hear someone mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not as if you heard Inyo name. That you recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your Lord. That you recognize that. And that you hold him subhanahu wa ta'ala in high regard. Your relationship with him subhanahu wa ta'ala will dictate how you respond. So if you have no relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have people, when someone mentions Allah, they get offended. They get offended. Like, why are we talking about God? Why are you talking to me about God? What does he have to do with this? That's a symptom of someone that does not have a healthy relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us? What is a prescription for us increasing our sensitivity to hearing his name? He mentions this throughout the Quran. Now I'm going to share with you 3 verses from the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to us about the importance of remembering him. These are things that we do to remind ourselves, to heighten our awareness and our consciousness. These are things that we talk about all the time when we talk about the importance of dhikr, the importance of you remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا. O you who believe, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often. Remember him often. Not sometimes. Remember him often. He also says subhanahu wa ta'ala, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واذكروني أذكركم. Remember me, and I will remember you. He also says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. That the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than anything. So we have to be in a habit. Again, we've talked about this over the weeks. Being in a habit of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is part of our spiritual wellness. That we remember him subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout our day. This is one of the reasons why we established the practice of the dhikr that we do after salah. We do it after every salah. If you're doing the dhikr that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam prescribed, is you say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, and Allahu Akbar 33 times, and you cap that with the crown, which is la ilaha illallah wahdahu. You do that, that's dhikr. That's a form of dhikr that you do after your prayer. But your dhikr is not restricted to your salah. See, you have to remind yourself. I mean, you encounter life. You're living. So you're going to encounter life. And you're going to encounter things that have you questioning. And when you question, what is your response? Is your response that you fall back on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you to fall back on? Those tools that we constantly and consistently talk about, you have them in your arsenal. Which is, one of which is dhikr. Remind yourself. Remind yourself. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in verse 2. So he says, الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم. Then he mentions those who hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's recitation. They hear his words. They hear his Quran. And their hearing the Quran increases them in faith. So again, when we reflect, right, which inshallah we do when we read Quran, and you read this verse, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving this description of what he calls أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. And you look at yourself. When you hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words recited or read, what is your response? This is a question you need to ask yourself. Am I that person? Am I that person where when I hear Quran, when I hear Allah's words, I'm increased in faith? That reaffirms my iman and my belief. Or is that noise like everything else? And if you find yourself in a space where it's noise like everything else, then you need to panic. That's the time when you need to panic. I should feel something when I hear Allah's words. When I read Allah's words, I should feel something. And if I'm not feeling something, then there's something wrong. الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا. It increases them in faith. And then he says, وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. And they trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're going to focus a little bit today on that. Trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trusting that He subhanahu wa ta'ala is your protector. Trusting that He subhanahu wa ta'ala is your comforter. Trusting that He subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you. We worry about everything. We worry about everything. And when we worry, we forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider. We forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He's in control. This is His creation. When people do stuff, they harm others, that He subhanahu wa ta'ala is the just. He is, as He described Himself, al-adl. That He will exact justice, whether people are held accountable in this life or not. He subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us all accountable. We will all be called to account. We have to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm going to share with you I'm going to share this with you before I go back to the verse. Because this business of trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which he mentions throughout the Quran, he mentions it in Surah 65, which is Surah Al-Talaq, or the divorce. In Surah Al-Talaq, in verse 3, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so ironically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah is speaking about divorce. And he's speaking about the man worrying about, man or woman worrying about worrying about money issues. And he starts the verse with, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for you. Your sustenance will come from ways that you can't even imagine. You have no control over that. See, we get caught up in what we think we're doing. We do what we need to do in order to secure things. But sometimes, if it's not meant for you, it's not going to happen for you. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you have. I don't care how well you did it. I don't care what type of plan you put together. If it's not meant for you, you're not going to get it. It's not going to happen for you because it's not meant for you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of His creation. You're taking care of whether you realize it or not. And He reminds us when He says, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever trusts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will be sufficient for him. When you trust in Allah, He will suffice you. You trust that that it's going to be okay. You're faced with a situation. You trust, you do what you're supposed to do. And you trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to take care of you. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he mentions that this verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this verse is from Surah Al-Imran. It's verse 173, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions during the battle of Uhud. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu says about this part of the verse, which is Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. He says that this particular dua or phrase was uttered twice. He says, حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل قالها إبراهيم صلى الله عليه وسلم حين ألقي في النار. That this phrase was first uttered when Prophet Ibrahim صلى الله عليه وسلم was placed in the fire. This was the dua that he made. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for me. Then he said, وَقَالَهَا مُحَمَّدٌ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, and the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said it, حِينَ قَالُوا, when it was told to him, إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made this dua. This is at the conclusion of the Battle of Uhud. Now, for you to understand the amount of stress, again, understanding the amount of stress that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was in when he was placed in the fire, that's real stress. That's real stress. And and being in a situation like that and remaining calm takes faith. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam during the Battle of Uhud. So to understand why and what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said when he said it is to understand what they faced. In the Battle of Uhud, Muslims suffered a humiliating defeat. You know, some scholars refuse to call it a defeat, but it was a defeat. So the Muslims, they had the encounter with Quraysh. The Prophet ﷺ gave his companions instructions. And this is coming shortly after the victory during the Battle of Badr. In the Battle of Badr, the Muslims were on a spiritual high. That carried over to the Battle of Uhud. So the encounter occurs, and Prophet ﷺ gave his archers specific instructions not to leave their posts. They were posted on a hill behind. They were covering the backs of their brothers. And they had specific instructions not to leave their posts no matter what happened. Do not leave your post. Do not leave, no matter what happens, do not leave your post. Fighting ensues. Fighting ensues, and the Muslims appear victorious. Quraysh begin to retreat, they begin to make their way, they start to run. So the archers, seeing this, they start talking amongst themselves, well, I guess this is a repeat. They left their post. They left their post. Upon leaving their post, Khalid ibn Walid, the same Khalid ibn Walid who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed with Islam, and he served Islam well. He saw this. And being the strategist that he was, he took advantage. Looked around back, and took the position that Prophet ﷺ told the archers not to abandon. So in essence, the mountain is here, Quraysh is here, and the believers are in the middle. Now you can imagine what happened. It was ugly. The Muslims suffered tremendous losses that day. One of the losses that they suffered was the Prophet ﷺ's uncle Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. He was lost that day. He was assassinated. At the conclusion of this battle, the height of all this stress, and the Prophet ﷺ was injured, I should mention, severely injured in this battle. At the conclusion of this battle, as Quraysh were making their way, or attempting to make their way back to Mecca, Prophet ﷺ was in pursuit. So some people came to the Messenger ﷺ with the message that Quraysh, they have a huge gathering for you. They're waiting for you. They have a huge gathering for you. Now I need you to understand the physical and emotional stress and spiritual stress that they were under. See, mind you, a year earlier, it was 300 against 3,000. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw fit that they were victorious in that battle. So they suffered. And they were suffering. So when the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam received this message, his response was, Allah got us. That was his response. His response was, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. This verse In Surah Al-Imran is a reference to that where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذين قال لهم الناس الذين قال لهم الناس إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم فاخشوهم فزادهم إيمانا. Those people are Prophet ﷺ and his companions. And the people that brought the messenger was in reference to Quraysh. That they're waiting for you. In reality, Quraysh, they weren't waiting for them. It wasn't like that. Because they knew that what happened earlier, they got lucky. That was a lapse. And Abu Sufyan knew because the Prophet ﷺ was in pursuit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse. Trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers and sisters, something that's attained. It's not something that you're born with. We've been talking about spiritual wellness for a while now. You have to get to a point where your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at the point where no matter what happens to you, you're good. No matter what happens to you, you're good. You're good. No matter what happens to you, you're okay because you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got you. And that's not just, those aren't just words that Allah's got me. But inside, you don't believe that. You don't act as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your provider, He's your protector. And a lot of times when we hear things, news is brought to us, we're placed in situations, we encounter things, our response tells on what's in our hearts. Your response speaks for you. Your response speaks for you. This is a timely conversation, brothers and sisters. I mean, we encounter life all the time. There's a whole lot going on. There's a whole lot going on. You're faced with a lot. And in order for you, and we're going to get our bumps and our bruises. It happens. When I say we get our bumps and our bruises, it means that we don't always respond and react the way that a believer reacts and responds. In order for you to respond appropriately, you have to have a healthy relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And having a healthy relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entails work. So I'm going to go back to the verse now. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this tawakkul in the verse, وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. We're going back to Surah Al-Anfal, verse 2. The end of verse 2. He says, وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. Then he mentions that another characteristic of the true believers is that they maintain their prayer. If that's not your foundation, you have no foundation. Your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is built on your ibadah. If you're not praying, if you're not a praying brother or a praying sister, your foundation is flawed. There's no you trusting in Allah, so those are just words. So if you're not in the habit of uttering words that Allah got me and all that stuff, and you're not even making salah, you're fooling yourself. Because you don't believe that. Because if you believe that, you would make your salah. But then he doesn't just mention salah. Then he mentions service. He says what? الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. The two go together. So if you're not engaged in service, you're just talking. This is talk. This is not faith in action. Faith in action is service. Faith in action is salah. Faith in action is good character. Then he says, after he mentions what? Those whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is mentioned, وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ, their hearts tremble. Then he says, when they hear Quran, they're increased in faith. Then he says, they trust in Allah. Then he says, they pray. Then he says, they engage in service. After he said all of that, he said, those people who possess those qualities, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. Those people are the true believers. Those people, the aforementioned, are the true believers. These are the qualities that we should be in pursuit of. And in order for us to reach, and hopefully, inshallah, maintain these qualities, there are certain things that we have to do. When we talk to these, again, going back to the spiritual realm, there's work to be done. There's work to be done. And the work never stops. As long as you are alive, your work never stops. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, in addition to the hadith that I just shared with you, also narrated another hadith. And both of these are in the collection of Imam Bukhari, where he says that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in speaking to his companions one day, said, عُرِضَتْ عَلَيَّ الْأُمَمِ. Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is telling his companions that he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given a preview. This is a form of wahi or revelation of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a preview of the Day of Judgment. So he saw something, and he shared with his companions what he saw. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I saw messengers, not referring to himself. He said he saw other prophets. And he said some of them had small groups of people with them. فَرَأَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ وَمَعَهُ الرُّهَيْبُ وَالنَّبِيُّ وَمَعَهُ الرَّجُلُ وَالرَّجُلَانِ. And I saw prophets and they had a couple of people with them. Some had one person with them. Then he said, I saw prophets and they had no one with them. Then I saw a large, dark sight. He saw this image. And I thought, is that my ummah? And it was said to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَقِيلَ لِي هَذَا مُوسَى وَقَوْمُهُ. No, that's not your ummah. That is the Prophet Musa alayhi salam and his followers. But look over in that direction. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَنَظَرْتُ فَإِذَا سَوَادٌ عَظِيمٌ. I looked and I saw this huge dark figure. It's a body, huge. Right? Then he said, then I was told to look in the other direction and I saw the same thing. And then it was said to me, هذه أمتك. This is your ummah. And with them are 70,000 who will be granted paradise without accounting nor punishment. ومعهم 70,000 يدخلون الجنة بغير حساب ولا عذاب. So then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after sharing this with his companions, got up and he went in his home. So of course the companions, they're curious, they're talking amongst themselves. So then they began to talk about who was going to be granted entry into Jannah without accounting nor punishment. So they started suggesting that perhaps it's the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, and then said some, well, maybe it's those who were born in Islam and did not associate others with Allah, and they mentioned a whole lot of things. They were guessing. So the Messenger ﷺ came back out of his home. And he asked them what they were talking about. So they told him. So the Messenger ﷺ gave some descriptions, some characteristics of the individuals who will enter Jannah without accounting nor punishment. And one of them was وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ, those who trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So the companion, Arkasha ibn Muhsin, said to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, O Messenger of Allah, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make me amongst them. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's response was, and you are amongst them. Amongst who? He's amongst the 70,000 who will enter Jannah without accounting nor punishment. Then another man got up. Once he saw that the Prophet ﷺ had forecasted that Arkasha would enter Jannah without accounting or punishment, he wanted to get in. Who wouldn't? The Prophet ﷺ said that Arkasha beat you to it. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, سَبَقَكَ بِهَا عُكَّاشَ, that Arkasha beat you to that dua. Incentive, brothers and sisters, when we reflect on the verses that I shared with you today. And we reflect on the hadith that I shared with you today. These serve as incentives, brothers and sisters. They serve as incentives. Our spiritual health is important. And we have to treat it the way we treat everything else. We have to treat it the same way we treat our physical health and our mental health. We're all about our physical health, and our mental health and our spiritual health is out of sync, and we're cheating ourselves. Because your physical being will go back to the earth. So no matter how handsome you are, how beautiful you are, how in shape you are, none of that matters. None of that matters if you have no Islam. None of it matters. If you have no Islam, if your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is non-existent, it doesn't matter. If you're the sharpest person, you're most intelligent, none of that matters. Your mental capacity, none of it matters if your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is non-existent. All of what I mentioned to you today is attainable, inshallah. We all have that capacity. And we all owe it to ourselves to put ourselves in a better position to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good way. We owe it to ourselves. Your spiritual health means the attention, the same attention that we give everything else. We give in our lives, we give a lot of things a lot of attention. Our Islam cannot be last on the list. Can't be. Me making sure that I'm right with my Creator cannot be last on the list. Me engaging with Allah's words cannot be last on the list. Me remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a regular basis cannot be last. I can't be, I remember Allah once a week Muslim. Or throwing around casual phrases like Subhanallah and Allahu Akbar, and it has no spiritual meaning. Where we treat these phrases as if, we don't give them the weight that they deserve. Because that's not anchored within our faith. We all have work to do, brothers and sisters, and we have to be about our spiritual health. Making sure that, inshallah, we are headed in the right direction. Because all directions are going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're a person, a believing person, and you do good and you do all that stuff, you're going to die and you're going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you're a horrible person and you don't believe and you do all these horrible things, you're still going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're concerned about your outcome. You're standing. When you stand before Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, what will you have to answer for? What position will you be in? Today, brothers and sisters, is the day. This is Friday. And Friday, if you come to Jum'ah, and inshallah, you'll receive something that will inspire you to be better and to do better. And inshallah, today, you're inspired to be better and to do better. I advise you, as I always do, verses that are shared with you, the Quran is worthy of reflection. The verses that are shared with you, please reflect on that. Even if it's one of the verses. Surah Al-Anfal 8, verses 2 through 4. If you're able to do that today, and that's the only Quran you are able to read today, please read those verses and reflect on them. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات من كل ذنب واستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبيه الكريم وبعد. Brothers and sisters, in closing, as always, I remind myself first, brothers and sisters, and I remind you that we have to be good to ourselves. Be good to you. None of us are perfect. When we fall short, we owe it to ourselves to get up and try to right the wrong that we've done. Today is a great day for you to make tawbah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you for your shortcomings. Today is an awesome day to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are various ways that you can do that. Whatever healthy spiritual habits you've established, work on maintaining them, inshallah. And if you have none, you need to establish some. If you have none, you need to establish some. If you're not in the habit of remembering Allah during your day, get in the habit of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during your day. If you're not in the habit of reading the Quran, so a few verses a day. A couple of weeks ago I mentioned to you the value in you attempting to read the entire Quran. And often we focus on that during Ramadan only. There are things that we leave on the table. Things that we could have taken advantage of. We don't take advantage of them. Take advantage of them. And lastly, do some service. The service has many faces. Whatever works for you. Figure out how to help somebody do something. But do it. That's for your benefit, not the recipient. That's for your benefit. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forgive us all on this blessed day of Jum'ah, that He increase us all on this blessed day of Jum'ah. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He protect us all from the hellfire on this blessed day of Jum'ah. I pray to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are amongst those who are lucky, who will stand before Him subhanahu wa ta'ala and our accounting be swift. That He subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us. That He's pleased with us. See, the last thing that we want, you don't want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath. You don't want His wrath. We saw examples of Allah's wrath 2 days ago with this latest hurricane. And you saw the devastation. About 3 weeks ago, you saw devastation in Indonesia. That's real. And often when we see these things, we see these images, the first thing that comes to our mind is, or the first word is nature. That's Allah. Allah's in control of all of that. When we see devastation, we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we ask His protection. Not we look at it and, man, that's messed up. And man, nature. It's not nature, that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the Lord of the wind. He's the Lord of the oceans, the skies. This is His creation. We ought to take heed. These are just things that happen. And we try to, global warming. Yeah, global warming, but man is heedless. There's a lot of corruption, a lot of horrible things that are happening. And these things serve as reminders. And we can't continue to look at this stuff. Oh, well, did you hear about what happened? Well, Fulan, you saw what happened. What'd you do? What was your response? Did you make tawbah when you saw this? And if you didn't make tawbah, you ought to make tawbah, because we all fall short. When we make dua today, you make dua for yourselves, make dua for your families, but also make dua for those who are suffering. Make dua for those who are suffering, those who lost their homes. It's okay for you to make dua for those who lost their homes. I'm going to repeat that. It's okay for you to make dua for those who are not Muslim but that lost their homes. That's okay. Sometimes we get, we get all twisted up. It's the dua that you're making is that you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alleviate pain and suffering. And you're also asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide people. So you can make dua, and you ought to make dua. Before we pray, brothers and sisters, as I always say, and you hear me say this every Friday that I give the khutbah, Friday is Tawbah Day. Before you walk out that door, and I'm not saying that you have to do that, but you have to be conscious of that. That has to be part of your daily, your weekly practice. Really, it should be part of your daily practice. Is that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness more than 100 times each day. That's his example. And if it's his example that we're following, are we doing at least a fraction of that? What I spoke about today and its connection to the Prophet ﷺ, seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness more than 100 times a day, is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in verse 2, when Allah's name is mentioned, right? Their hearts trembled. That was Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's why he asked Allah for forgiveness more than 100 times a day. That he would stand at night in prayer until his feet swelled. We're all in pursuit, brothers and sisters. But we gotta work harder. Like I said, those goals are attainable. We have to work harder. We have to work harder. ألا صلوا على سيد المرسلين وإمام المتقين فقد أمركم الله بذلك في كتاب العزيز وقال جل من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما ويقول عليه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم من صلى علي مرة صلى الله عليه بها 10 اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة فإن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.